You ever get that itch? That little voice that dares you to do something insane just to see what happens. Most people play it safe, follow the rules, keep their heads down. But deep down, you know there's a thrill in risk, a rush in the unknown. And now, right now, I want you to pay attention, because what I'm about to say isn't just another speech, it's a test, a challenge. 10 minutes from now, you'll have a choice. You'll look at a number, a balance, a reflection of what you thought was steady, and you'll realize just how fragile control really is. The rules are simple. Don't jump, don't panic, just watch. Because if you act too soon, if you move too fast, you lose. And losing isn't just about money, it's about timing, patience, and whether you can stand still when everyone else is running. Patience is one of those things people claim to understand but rarely practice. Everyone talks about it, everyone preaches it, but when the moment comes, most people crack. They jump, they react, they make decisions based on impulse, because patience is hard. It's uncomfortable, it's boring, it's silent, and our minds hate silence. Silence forces you to face yourself, to notice the tension, to feel the anticipation, to understand that the thing you want most doesn't arrive on your schedule. That's why patience is dangerous in the right way. It tests you. It stretches you. It reveals who you really are when there's nothing to distract you, nothing to blame, no excuses. Think about the last time you wanted something badly. The adrenaline, the anxiety, the mental gymnastics you perform trying to justify taking action before the right moment. You convince yourself you're in control, but control is a lie. Patience doesn't ask for permission. Patience doesn't negotiate. It forces you to sit in the discomfort of waiting, to endure the silence, to stare at the unknown, and realize that nothing in life happens according to your whims. And that's where the magic begins, the moment you understand that waiting is not a waste, that anticipation is not your enemy, that restraint is not limitation. Most people fail because they confuse patience with passivity. They think patience is doing nothing, but patience is active. Patience is observation. Patience is calculation. It's the ability to measure the storm without diving in, to watch the tide without swimming, to see the trap without stepping into it. When you master patience, you start noticing patterns that others miss. You see the subtle cues in people, in events, in timing itself. You learn that every second you wait, every breath you control, every heartbeat you don't rush, is preparing you for the moment when action will matter most. And here's the tricky part. Patience doesn't feel good. It's not comfortable. It's like holding a live wire and pretending it's a toy. Your mind wants to jump, to move, to act, to react, to secure what you think you deserve. But patience keeps you suspended in that moment of tension, forcing you to endure the primal urge to act. And the longer you endure it, the sharper your focus becomes, the clearer your perception gets, the stronger your restraint grows. You begin to understand that timing is not just about opportunity, it's about readiness. Patience shapes your readiness. The cruel genius of patience is that it doesn't reveal itself while you're practicing it. You don't notice the skill forming in the silence, in the waiting, in the discomfort. You think you're suffering, that you're stagnant, that you're missing out. But patience is the quiet architect of power. It's the invisible hand arranging circumstances, the hidden force aligning events, the silent instructor teaching you when to strike, when to speak, when to move. Every impatient person will jump too soon, act too fast, and lose what could have been theirs. Only those who wait, those who endure, those who master the pause will survive, will thrive, will see the reward that the hasty never touch. And it's not just about waiting for the obvious signs. It's about noticing the tiny details, the subtle shifts, the hidden opportunities that only reveal themselves to those patient enough to pay attention. It's the ability to sit still while the world rages, to stay calm while everyone else panics, to trust that the right moment will come. Because the right moment always comes, but it's invisible until you're ready to act. And acting before you're ready is the surest way to lose everything, because the universe doesn't reward haste. It rewards endurance, observation, and timing. Patience teaches humility as well. It reminds you that you are not the master of time, that the world does not bend to your will, that outcomes are rarely immediate or convenient, and that's frightening for most people. They crave instant results, instant satisfaction, instant validation. Patience forces them to face reality. Control is an illusion, desire is a distraction, and only the ability to wait, truly wait, will reveal what's truly possible. It's uncomfortable because it strips away all the masks, all the tricks, all the excuses. It leaves you raw, exposed, aware, and ready. When you finally embrace patience, when you finally endure the tension instead of fleeing it, something changes inside you. You start seeing the advantage in delay. You start feeling the power in restraint. You start understanding that waiting is not weakness, that watching is not inaction, that enduring is not passivity. Patience becomes your weapon, your ally, your edge in a world where everyone else jumps too soon, reacts too quickly, and loses sight of what truly matters. And that's when you realize that the numbers, the stakes, the pressure, they're meaningless if you can't master the one thing that controls all of it. The ability to weight risk is the most misunderstood word in existence. People tremble at it, avoid it, dress it up as recklessness or danger, when the truth is that risk is the only thing that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Everyone wants reward. Everyone craves success. Everyone dreams of moments that leave them breathless, but almost nobody is willing to feel the tension that comes with risk. That tension, that uncertainty, that heartbeat racing against hesitation, that's where clarity lives. It's funny, isn't it? People think they're in control, that they can secure outcomes with planning and caution. But the moment you introduce risk, everything flips. You see reality for what it is: fragile, unpredictable, and deliciously honest. Risk is a mirror. It shows you exactly who you are when the safety net is gone, when the familiar falls away, when the temptation to flee is stronger than the temptation to stay. Most people don't like that reflection. They want comfort, predictability, guarantees. But risk doesn't negotiate. Risk doesn't give warnings. Risk doesn't hand you answers in neat little packages. Risk demands presence, courage, and the ability to stare straight into the unknown and laugh at it. Because the truth about risk is that it exposes weakness, it exposes fear, it exposes indecision. And yet, it also exposes the rare, the resilient, the ones who are willing to gamble everything for a glimpse of something greater. Think about the way risk feels in your body. That sudden surge of awareness, the tightness in your chest, the focus that sharpens like a blade. This is not fear. Not entirely. It's alertness, it's instinct, it's life whispering, asterisk. This moment matters. Pay attention. Act, asterisk. And here's the thing. Those who shrink from it, who flee the discomfort, who hesitate too long, they never find out what could have been theirs. The reward waits, yes, but it waits only for those who are willing to step off the edge. Only for those who can bear the uncertainty. only for those who can embrace the tension without losing themselves. Risk isn't about recklessness. That's a misconception. True risk is calculated, deliberate, and intimate. It's about knowing exactly what's at stake, understanding the consequences, and choosing to act anyway. It's about confronting fear and refusing to be paralyzed by it. People think bravery is loud, heroic, visible, but real bravery is quiet. It's the decision to stand still when your instincts scream run, to move when logic says stay, to trust the unseen when everything inside you begs for certainty. And that's why most people never truly understand risk. They confuse it with chaos, when in reality, it is clarity in disguise. And let's not ignore timing. Risk without timing is chaos. Timing transforms a gamble into opportunity. The slightest hesitation, the smallest misalignment, and the entire outcome shifts. That's why watching, observing, waiting, yes, even within risk is crucial. People act too soon, too late, or without comprehension. They think movement is progress, but movement without awareness is disaster. The ones who win, the ones who survive, the ones who transform, these are the people who understand that risk is a dance with timing, a balance between patience and courage, a game where hesitation is just as deadly as recklessness. Risk also teaches honesty. It strips away excuses, pretenses, and illusions. When the stakes are real, the mirror reflects your true self. Are you bold enough to face uncertainty without flinching? Are you disciplined enough to hold your ground while others falter? Are you willing to accept failure as part of the process, as a lesson, as an inevitable step on the path to success? Most people fail this test. They crave the thrill without the responsibility, the reward without the exposure. But the ones who embrace risk, who see it as a teacher, a crucible, a doorway, they learn lessons impossible to gain any other way. And here's the cruel beauty. Risk is not forgiving. It does not wait for courage. It does not accommodate hesitation. It does not sugarcoat reality. It delivers outcomes with brutal honesty. Success and failure are equally probable, and the only thing that determines which path you take is the clarity with which you move through it. The tension, the anticipation, the fear, the thrill, they are not obstacles. They are the curriculum. They are the language of life, instructing you in ways logic cannot. The moment you step into risk fully, consciously, deliberately, you stop being passive. You stop waiting for permission. You stop hiding behind excuses. You participate in reality on its own terms. And when you finally embrace it, when you finally understand how risk works, when you finally feel the thrill without surrendering to panic, something extraordinary happens. You see opportunities invisible to the cautious. You perceive patterns invisible to the timid. You recognize the signs invisible to the fearful. The world is no longer a passive experience. It becomes a game, a puzzle, a sequence of deliberate choices, and your understanding of control deepens. Risk teaches you that the edge is not a threat. It's an invitation, a test, a revelation. And only by answering that invitation, by daring, by enduring, by trusting the tension, do you find out what you're truly capable of. Timing is the cruelest, most honest teacher you will ever encounter. People think they control it, that they can predict it, that they can manipulate it to fit their desires. But timing doesn't care about desire, logic, or plans. Timing is deliberate, indifferent, precise. It waits until the exact moment you are ready or think you are ready, and then it moves, leaving you scrambling, panicked, or, if you've learned the lesson, prepared. Most people fail because they underestimate it. They act too soon, they wait too long, they react when they should observe, and they observe when they should act. Timing doesn't forgive mistakes. It only rewards those who understand it, who respect it, who dance with it without trying to dominate it. Think about the moments in your life when everything changed in a single second. Not because of effort, not because of planning, not because of skill alone, but because the moment was right. That's timing. It doesn't knock, it doesn't announce itself, it doesn't pause for consent. You either notice it or you miss it. And notice is a learned skill. Most people are too distracted by their own expectations, by their need to control outcomes, by the comfort of certainty. Timing teaches patience, observation, and attentiveness. It teaches that reality doesn't conform to schedules, that opportunities are fleeting, and that every delay, every coincidence, every sudden shift is intentional if you have the eyes to see it. Timing is also a test of trust. Trust in yourself, trust in the process, trust in forces you cannot see. People panic because they want immediate results. They jump too soon, they act recklessly, they make noise, and in doing so, they sabotage the very thing they sought. But when you understand timing, you learn to wait without losing awareness, to pause without losing focus, to hold still without freezing. You start to perceive the subtle currents that guide outcomes, the small hints that suggest the perfect moment, the invisible signals that synchronize with your intentions. It's a skill that most never master because it requires surrender, awareness, and courage all at once. And here's the irony. The harder you chase timing, the more it slips through your fingers. Timing is not a possession. You cannot grab it, cannot control it, cannot force it to conform to your will. It rewards restraint, not aggression. It favors observation, not impulsivity. It whispers to the patient, nudges the attentive, and smiles at the brave who endure uncertainty without giving in to fear. Every second of hesitation is preparation. Every delay is a test. Every moment of stillness sharpens your perception. Those who fail timing are the ones who think they can outsmart it, who think they can bend reality with sheer effort, who confuse movement with progress. The beauty of timing is that it aligns all the pieces at the right moment. The person you meet, the choice you make, the opportunity that arises, they all converge when the timing is perfect. Miss the moment, and it disappears. Act too soon, and it collapses. Hesitate too long, and it becomes someone else's gain. Timing is the invisible architect of destiny, constructing outcomes in silence, patience, and precision. And when you start noticing, truly noticing, the patterns of timing, you begin to understand that chaos and coincidence are illusions. Every event, every delay, every sudden shift is part of a larger rhythm, and your awareness determines whether you ride the current or get swept away. Most people never see timing because they're too loud, too impatient, too desperate for control. They want clarity without uncertainty, results without waiting, proof without faith. Timing mocks them. It teaches that nothing arrives when demanded. Nothing happens on schedule, and nothing conforms to expectations. But to those who learn, to those who observe, to those who trust without seeing, timing becomes a tool. It becomes a guide, a filter, a force that separates the reckless from the prepared. Those who master timing do not act rashly, they act times precisely asterisk. They do not wait aimlessly, they watch deliberately. They do not gamble, they choose when to strike, when to move, when to claim what is theirs. And the truth is that timing is everywhere. In the pause before a decision, in the rhythm of conversations, in the arrival of people and events, in the alignment of chance. It is subtle, relentless, unforgiving, but also generous to those who understand it. The moment you see it, feel it, trust it, and respond in harmony with it, life stops being random. The numbers, the events, the pressures, they align in a way that feels almost supernatural, almost predestined. That's the power of timing. It turns observation into advantage, patience into clarity, and hesitation into precision. And when you finally synchronize with it, you realize that missing it was never an accident. It was preparation for the moment when you could no longer afford to ignore it. Control is the illusion that everyone clings to, like a child clutching a blanket in the dark, thinking it will keep the shadows away. People talk about control as if it's real, as if they can bend the world to their will, as if effort alone guarantees outcomes. But the truth is that control is fragile, deceptive, fleeting. It exists only as long as the universe, or whatever force you choose to call it, allows it. The moment something unexpected enters the picture, everything you thought you had is revealed as nothing more than a temporary alignment of circumstance. And that's where most people fail. They put faith in the wrong things, thinking mastery over life comes from grasping tightly instead of understanding the currents beneath their feet. Control is seductive. It promises safety, predictability, security. It whispers in your ear that if you plan meticulously, act decisively, and avoid mistakes, you can dictate the flow of events. And for a while, it works. You accumulate victories, small wins, confirmations that your strategy is sound. But control is a trickster. It lulls you into complacency, makes you forget the invisible threads of timing, risk, and patience that actually govern outcomes. And the moment you encounter unpredictability, the moment the unexpected strikes, the illusion shatters, and you're left exposed, vulnerable, naked in your overconfidence. Most people react poorly when they lose control. They panic. They overcompensate. They try to force outcomes, to manipulate circumstances, to demand reality conform to their desires. That's the trap. True understanding of control is not in domination. True understanding is in awareness. It's in observing the flow of events without being consumed by them. It's in noticing the patterns that others overlook, the subtleties that make the difference between triumph and disaster. Control is not about acting faster, stronger, harder. It's about responding with clarity when chaos arrives, about making decisions in the eye of the storm, about knowing when to yield and when to strike. And here's the cruel beauty. The illusion of control teaches humility. It forces you to confront your limitations, to acknowledge uncertainty, to recognize that life cannot be fully contained. The tighter you hold, the more it slips through your fingers. The more you cling, the more reality reminds you that it's bigger than your plans, smarter than your logic, indifferent to your demands. Control is a test of ego, patience, and perception. Those who believe they can dominate everything fail spectacularly. Those who understand that true influence comes from awareness, timing, and restraint find themselves not powerless, but aligned with forces that others mistake for luck. Control is also intimately tied to choice. People assume choice is about doing something, acting, moving, changing. But real choice often comes in restraint. The ability to do nothing, to wait, to observe, to allow circumstances to reveal themselves. This is where power lives. Most people squander choice on impulse, fear, or ego, believing that action alone equals agency. But the truth is that timing and perception magnify the smallest decision into monumental consequences. Control is less about imposing will and more about harmonizing with reality in a way that maximizes outcome while minimizing chaos. And it's tempting to ignore this. Tempting to believe that control is permanent, that effort guarantees stability, that consequences can always be managed. But the universe, or fate, or chance moves differently. It introduces unpredictability not to punish, but to teach. It strips away false confidence, exposes weakness, forces adaptation. Those who understand this principle survive not because they dominate, but because they recognize when to act, when to pause, when to surrender. Control is not the absence of chaos. It is the mastery of response within it, the ability to navigate turbulence without losing balance, the insight to see the invisible structures beneath the surface. And the irony is that once you grasp this, you see control everywhere, yet nowhere. You see how events unfold not according to brute force, but through alignment, observation, and measured action. You see how small shifts, unnoticed patterns, subtle timing, and careful patience wield more influence than brute strength or frantic effort. You recognize that losing the illusion of control is liberating because it allows you to operate on a deeper level, to respond intelligently rather than react impulsively, to anticipate instead of chase. Those who master this paradox discover that the world doesn't need to obey them. They only need to understand it, to move in concert with it, and the rewards are immense, hidden in plain sight for those willing to notice. Control is the most deceptive, the most seductive, the most powerful force you will ever encounter, not because it can be possessed, but because understanding it transforms perception, action, and outcomes in ways that seem impossible to those still chasing the illusion. And the lesson is relentless. Surrender the need to dominate, embrace awareness, trust timing, and recognize that true power is in navigating the currents rather than trying to stop them. Observation is the secret most people never learn to value. Everyone talks about action, about movement, about doing, as if the measure of a person is how much noise they make, how quickly they respond, how visibly they assert themselves. But the truth is that those who truly succeed, who truly understand life, spend far more time watching than acting. Observation is subtle, patient, relentless. It teaches you patterns, reveals intentions, exposes weaknesses, and uncovers opportunities hidden in plain sight. Yet most people ignore it. They think that reacting fast is better than noticing first. They think that movement equals progress. They are wrong, spectacularly and consistently wrong. Think about how easy it is to miss what's right in front of you. A glance that speaks volumes, a gesture that contradicts words, a pattern in behavior that repeats quietly. Observation allows you to see these things before they become obvious, before they reveal themselves fully, before mistakes are made. The world is full of cues, tiny signals that everyone else overlooks because they are too busy acting, too busy talking, too busy trying to prove they're in control. But observation waits. Observation lingers. Observation accumulates knowledge without effort and rewards the patient, the silent, the attentive. Observation is also a weapon against impulse. Impulse is seductive. It promises quick results, immediate satisfaction, the illusion of control. But acting on impulse blinds you to the truth. Observation trains you to resist it, to wait, to analyze, to understand before you move. Most people think they are seeing clearly, but they are reacting to fragments, to assumptions, to their own projections. Observation strips away the illusion. It forces you to confront reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. And in that confrontation, you gain clarity that no amount of action or noise can ever provide. Observation is not passive. It is active, engaged, alive. It requires attention, focus, patience, and discipline. It demands that you notice details that others dismiss, that you question the meaning behind coincidences, that you watch the movement of people, events, and circumstances with a mind alert to significance. It's a skill that amplifies timing, magnifies strategy, and clarifies risk. The more you observe, the more you understand the subtle currents of life, and the more prepared you become to act when the perfect moment arises. Action without observation is reckless. Observation without action is incomplete. Mastery comes from the balance, and observation exposes truth in ways confrontation never can. When you watch closely, you see intentions, motives, and patterns that words and appearances hide. People reveal themselves in micro-expressions, in habits, in inconsistencies. Opportunities reveal themselves in the shifts of timing, the alignment of circumstances, the seemingly trivial coincidences. Observation sharpens your senses, tunes your instincts, and builds an awareness that is impossible to replicate through action alone. Those who succeed silently are often the ones who watch the longest, who notice the details others ignored, who waited for the signal that everyone else missed. Observation also teaches restraint. It forces patience, the ability to wait for clarity, the wisdom to act only when conditions are right. Most people cannot tolerate stillness. They panic in the quiet. They feel the need to act constantly, to assert control, to produce visible results. But observation rewards the opposite, the quiet, the still, the attentive. It rewards those who can endure tension without panicking, those who can see patterns in chaos, those who can anticipate consequences before committing. It's a skill that transforms uncertainty into advantage, confusion into strategy, hesitation into timing. And the irony is that observation is both invisible and indispensable. You cannot flaunt it, you cannot force it, you cannot rush it. Yet it shapes outcomes more than the loudest actions, the fastest decisions, the boldest moves. It is the silent current beneath the surface, guiding those who know how to notice, positioning them ahead of the frantic masses, preparing them to act decisively when the moment demands it. Observation gives you the map that others miss, the edge that others underestimate, the power that is invisible until it is applied with precision. When you master observation, the world begins to reveal itself differently. You see the patterns, the signals, the timing, the alignment that others overlook. You recognize that every gesture, every pause, every minor detail carries significance. You act not out of impulse, but out of informed awareness. You move not blindly, but strategically. You wait not in fear, but in preparation. And slowly, imperceptibly, you gain a mastery over circumstances, over people, over moments that those who cannot see quietly envy but never understand. Observation is patience made powerful, awareness made weaponized, and silence transformed into dominance.